Many of you watching probably remember the fights over getting fucking glyphosate out of the country, out of the world. Roundup herbicide. It kills everything. It also kills human beings. So it does a really good job of what it's supposed to do, which is kill things.
Kill pests.
Kill pests, which are humans are on that list. Yeah. It came out, shock, that it was giving everybody cancer if you used it extensively. So there's a big, we've been protesting against Monsanto for a generation, it seems. And Monsanto, in these various votes, won like most evil company in the world, like multiple years in a row. Bayer Pharmaceutical then bought Monsanto. So the most evil company in the world, supposedly, that's just people voting, but was bought out by the big pharma company that was created by the Nazis. Actually played a role in Auschwitz and the horrific medical testing that went on at Auschwitz. That's kind of where it got its start. Bayer then now owns Monsanto, and Bayer was getting sued left and right over glyphosate, over Roundup herbicide. So they said, we're going to change it. We're going to withdraw it from the market, put out a different one, and that's going to save us from all these lawsuits and no more cancer for everybody. And here's the latest update. This is from commondreams.org. New Roundup is more than 45 times more toxic than the old one.
Wow.
Facing tens of thousands of lawsuits after it acquired Monsanto, Bayer promised to remove cancer-linked glyphosate from its commercial Roundup weed killers by 2023. But an analysis published by Friends of the Earth on Tuesday reveals the replacement is even more dangerous. The environmental group found that many residential Roundup products still do contain glyphosate, and those that don't have replaced it with a chemical cocktail that is 45 times more toxic to human health following long-term exposure.
Don't worry. We got rid of the glyphosate. We killed it with asbestos, and you won't have to worry about any of the glyphosate anymore.
Turns out asbestos works just as well as the old Roundup. Roundup weed killer was first commercially released by Monsanto 50 years ago. Since then, tens of thousands of people say they have come down with non-Hodgkin lymphoma after repeated use of the product and its active ingredient glyphosate, which the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer says is probably carcinogenic to humans. Despite the risk, it is so widely used that it has been found in 80% of a test of U.S. urine samples.
Wow. Holy shit.
So basically, when they spray this all over all the plants across America, for some odd reason, that ends up in all of us. Unclear why that would be, except for the fact that we eat all of the things that are out there. Mm-hmm. And we breathe the air. The human toll of Roundup is enormous. Tens of thousands of people have lost their lives and their health because of this toxic weed killer. Friends of the Earth assessed the Roundup products, found that 7 of the Roundup products for sale still contain glyphosate. I love how with some of them, they're like, just leave it in there. It doesn't very much.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
I love how a company founded by Nazis has a product called Roundup. How they let that one slip.
For some reason, I don't know how I let that slip past me. Like, how did I've covered the history of Bayer and Roundup and never did that occur to me.
Oh, that's right there. You got to get better Mad Libs for your.
Yeah. I'm really mad at myself for that one. Bayer, well, it gets even worse because Monsanto, the name, comes from the matriarch of the family that founded the company, the chemical company or whatever it started as 100 years ago or more, maybe 120. And that matriarch of that family, Jewish. So Monsanto ultimately took a payday from a Nazi company, which is still German owned, massive payday in order for them to buy out the company that's named after Jews. Bayer has replaced glyphosate with a combination of 4 chemicals. Nailed it. The latter 2 of which are banned in the European Union. All 4 chemicals are even more dangerous to health than glyphosate on average following chronic exposure, according to the Environmental Protection Agency's analysis of safety studies. The new ingredients have been linked to kidney and liver damage, reproductive, birth, and development problems, and allergic reactions of irritation that impact the eyes, skin, and respiratory system. Diquat dibromide is 200 times more toxic than glyphosate and is considered a highly hazardous pesticide.
Oh my God.
I'm just trying to picture the studies that Bayer was doing for what they were going to replace Monsanto Roundup with. Like, were they like, well, let's just try this thing that says don't ever touch or you're dead. Let's see how
Yeah,
that goes.
they're just pouring cigarette ashes into test tubes and just analyzing them.
Yeah. The new ingredients also pose a greater risk to the environment. They are, on average, more likely to threaten bees, birds, worms, and fish and other aquatic life. They are also less likely to break down in the environment and therefore more likely to infiltrate groundwater and pollute rivers and drinking water. Oh, how awful do you have to become illegal is the question.
Yeah, and I mean, what do you think? What do you think happened here? Like, obviously, they did some sort of okay. We got hit with these regulations. Then they implement their new like corporate calculus of like what to do now to continue maximizing profit. And did they just do that so blindly that they're like, okay, we don't have this chemical anymore, and now we have these, and then we'll get hit with another regulation, and then it just keeps going. I guess that has to
Yeah,
be the calculation. I mean, I'm
I
like trying to
I
make
mean
sense
it
of this.
it probably is part of the calculation because it took 20 years or more of strong protests. First of all, to get agencies to actually acknowledge that
Mhm.
glyphosate was cancerous, and then to get Monsanto to say they were going to do anything about it. And then because of the lawsuits, Monsanto realized it was a good time to sell because they were getting hit by lawsuit after lawsuit. So they sell. And then Bayer thinks, oh, we'll make the lawsuits go away, but they haven't really been able to. So then they say, okay, we'll put in something else instead of glyphosate. And all of this has taken, 20, 25 years. And I guess their calculation is it doesn't matter what we put in it to replace glyphosate. It's going to take another 2 decades for them to do anything about it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's horrific. And yet again, this is the gravity of capitalism. This is all about money. They don't care about your health. All they care about, and also it's the capitalism is based on like we care about direct results. The results you'll see in a week is that the weeds stop growing. The
Yeah.
results you don't see until 10 years later is that everyone has cancer. Like, and even when that happens, they can't always link it back to glyphosate or whatever. It's like all these externalities of the harm in an actual like I like to call it an adult civilization where we actually think about these things and plan out for human existence. Like it would just be a non-starter. It'd be like, oh, this harms the humans in our society, then we're not going to allow it to be on the shelves.
Yeah, I mean, these are the stories that are truly like so absurd of just how few people are benefiting and how many people are being harmed. Like it's just insane. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but the people that are benefiting are like really benefiting. So you got to weigh that.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll only get to enjoy these benefits for one lifetime. You know what I mean? Like even
They're working on that.
yeah,
They're working on
they
living
are.
forever. Peter Thiel has a lot of young person blood piped into
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
So they're creating vampires who may live far longer. So
Well, good for them. I'm glad they're putting all this to use.
Peter Thiel has infusion of young blood, and Elon Musk is working on connecting, electrodes into our brains so that his consciousness can live forever. So they're both working on it in one way or another.
Hell yeah.
Oh
You can
yeah,
just plug in and talk to Elon any day, anytime you want. I don't even have to respond to all of his tweets. That's amazing.
it is amazing. Well, so I know, folks, if you're wondering what the thesis statement is, it's time to heavily start protesting Bayer again. A lot of people thought that Monsanto, like you don't hear the word Monsanto anymore. It's basically like, oh, Bayer buys it, changes almost nothing, just keeps it under the Bayer name, and now we act like it doesn't exist anymore. It's like
Mhm.
same shit or worse is going on.